This video includes major spoilers for everything. You probably shouldn't watch it if you're not caught up with everything. In 2010, RGG Studio released Ryuga Gotoku 4 Densetsu wo Tsugumono, Like a Dragon, Heirs to the Legend. It was originally planned to be a spin-off, and it would follow 3 new protagonists who were heirs to the legend. Kiryu wouldn't really be playable, as he was happily retired with his family as of the end of Yakuza 3. Saejima was also planned to die in the story, which probably would have been better for his character than what he's doing nowadays. But plans changed and Saejima lived, and Kiryu got really rushed involvement with the game's story. In 2011, RGG released Ryuga Gotoku of the End, or Yakuza Dead Souls. And while it's not really a direct continuation of the story because it's a non-canon game about zombies, it does kind of continue off where Yakuza 4 left off. It's after Kiryu retires and it has Akiyama. Saejima's not in it though, and Ryuji is here instead. It is kind of weird, but my point is that Kiryu is a lead in this game. The game actually starts with him, even though you don't play as him until way later in the game. In 2012, RGG Studio released Yakuza 5. The plan to let Kiryu peacefully retire was scrapped, and now he was separated from his family and really depressed. At the end of Yakuza 5, he went into a coma. He dreamed of being a samurai, and he also dreamed of his life in 1988, which was never mentioned before. He would also dream of the events of 2005 that followed up the events of 1988. When Kiryu woke up from his coma in 2016, RGG Studio released Yakuza 6. Kiryu decides to die because of how much trouble and danger he's brought his family, and that's it. It's a bittersweet ending. Some people think that this ending is ruined by Kiwami 2 in 2017, which makes Kiryu playable again. But not really. The game coming out didn't change the fact that Kiryu left his family and was now legally dead. After Yakuza 6, RGG would release Judge Eyes, but in the background they spent their time developing a new protagonist for the quote, mainline games of the series. They experimented with a character in Ryuga Gotoku Online named Ichiban Kasuga. In 2020, RGG Studio released Yakuza Like a Dragon or Yakuza 7 or Shin Ryuga Gotoku. It followed Ichiban Kasuga, not the exact Ichiban from RGG Online because he has a slightly different story and his face is really different from the mainline Ichiban. And put this series in a new perspective. You weren't a legend anymore, you're just some guy. Kiryu and the other legends of this series do show up in this game, and it's sort of a passing of the torch. A whole new protagonist came in and changed a bunch of stuff in the series. It made the series go in a different but really bright direction. It was just a matter of committing to this new protagonist, and it seemed like RGG was actually committed to him. But in 2023, RGG would release Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name, a game that focused on Kiryu again, kind of defeating the purpose of having a new protagonist. But this was a Gaiden game, a side story, not the main stuff. In 2024, RGG Studio released Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, or Like a Dragon 8, that's what it's called in the Steam files. It's a sequel to the previous Ichiban game and it follows Ichiban as he goes to Hawaii to seek out his mother. Until the game splits off into 2 sections and Kiryu shares the spotlight with Ichiban. Kind of. The midpoint of the game is about both Kiryu and Ichiban, but the game shows more interest in Kiryu's story than Ichiban's story. The last act of the game especially is about Kiryu being reborn. I mean, his ability is called Dragon's Resurgence, so... I'm telling you this because it paints a picture. RGG will not let go of Kiryu. They can't move beyond him. Even after making a new protagonist and saying he's gonna be the guy for 10 years, even after killing off Kiryu multiple times, he always returns. Sometimes it's for a good reason. He returns in Infinite Wealth because he never really developed as a character. And before you get all mad at me and start commenting, let me explain. Yakuza 6 just had Kiryu resort to what Kiryu does. He just runs away from his problems. He runs away from his problems at the beginning of the game. Then at the end of the game, he runs away again. Infinite wealth forces him to confront his problems or die.
俺は残された時間を少しでもやるべきことに使いたい。
なんだよ、やるべきことって。大同時一派の仕事かよ。そんなこと言って、あんた治療から逃げてるだけじゃねえのか。
Other times, it's a no-brainer that he has to return. Like, who's gonna be the playable character in Kiwami 2? But that's the thing with making a remake. Making a remake is already committing to bringing Kiryu back, and that shows more of their inability to let Kiryu go. But how could they? Kiryu is the face of the series. The games were literally named Ryuga Gotoku because of Kiryu. Nagoshi said it would help the player get an idea of Kiryu's strength, and he quadrupled down on this idea. The name of the game is Like a Dragon. The tattoo that Kiryu has is a dragon. His title is Dragon of Dojima. And the first game is about a koi who has an inferiority complex to the dragon. He wants to be like a dragon. Kiryu is like a dragon. There is no series without him, so he'll always come back. But the other half of it is because he makes a lot of money. Like, come on, let's be real. People are familiar with him, and he is the guy to a lot of people, so they have to keep bringing him back because you'd be dumb not to. But what does this even have to do with Ichiban? Did RGG really forget about Ichi? Not really, I just couldn't pass up the opportunity to title the video that. Ichiban is like Kiryu. He is like a dragon, and he was promised to be the face of the series. A lot of people see Kiryu get these games back to back and think that RGG lied about this and doesn't want to commit to Ichiban, but it's not that simple. Ichiban isn't a victim of RGG forgetting about him and not caring. Ichiban is a victim of RGG caring too much. Let me get something out of the way first. RGG used to fucking suck at making a game series. This is not an opinion. This is actual fact. These games are great in isolation, but if you play them back to back, there is so much whiplash that it'll just break your neck. You'll play a whole game about Kiryu falling in love again, and then in the next game, his lover just leaves. What the fuck? Ryudo family and Rikia? I don't know who that is. Arai and Kido? I don't know who that is. Saejima family? Don't know what that is. Hana? Maybe she can have like 1 or 2 phone calls. There was just no cohesion from game to game, and it showed that RGG didn't want to commit to anything. The only time there was commitment was when there was nothing to work with. From Yakuza 1 to Yakuza 2 because everyone died, and from Yakuza 3 into Yakuza 4 because Kiryu's part was really rushed, so they had no time to mess anything up. The reason why I bring up RGG being ass at making video games is because these commitment issues applied to the protagonists too. Their stories are just forgotten about like they didn't matter. Saejima goes to jail in Yakuza 4, and then in Yakuza 5 he's just like, I guess I'll go to jail again. And then in Yakuza 6, he goes to jail again. Akiyama spends all of Yakuza 5 trying to become a legend, and then he does. Then in Yakuza 6, he's scared of the Chinese mafia. You just fought the Omi Alliance, man, just make a fucking phone call. These characters constantly regress, and these characters constantly forget things that they should have learned from, and then they repeat the same thing that just happened to them a year ago. The only commitment here is the commitment to return to the status quo. All of it routes back to Kiryu being the main focus. While he also regresses as a character, he's the one that's always given the spotlight because everyone else is just shoved to the side. So RGG sucked ass at commitment, and they would just give Kiryu the spotlight because, well, he's Kiryu. What does that even have to do with Ichiban? When RGG introduced Ichiban as the primary protagonist, they seemed to leave Kiryu alone. This was a period of time where they kind of rebranded everything to just Like a Dragon. Like a Dragon Ishin, Like a Dragon Gaiden, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. But sometime after Infinite Wealth is when I think they began to reconsider this. They wanted to shed Yakuza and be like a dragon. They wanted to shed Kiryu and be all Ichiban. But they realized that, hey, being both is way better. You can even look at the 2024 TV show, Like a Dragon Yakuza. It has both names in there. Like, what other reason would they need to do that? RGG wanted to have their cake and eat it. They wanted to be Like a Dragon Yakuza. And then after that, they made a spin-off game about Majima. Unlike before where they couldn't commit to anything, they have started to commit to things. Infinite Wealth was really the catalyst for this. There are problems with Infinite Wealth's story, but you would be dumb to say that it doesn't follow up things from the previous game. When I played this game for the first time, my brain exploded. It was so weird for a Yakuza game to actually follow up on something from the previous game. Not only that, but Infinite Wealth brought back the likeness characters. Except for Eri, because she was like a contest character or something, so I mean, she's not part of the main cast. That's important because it shows a shift in their commitment, and that applied to the protagonists too. It's not just about one guy or one person, it's about multiple guys. The whole reason they created the Gaiden games was because of this. It's about multiple guys. The series actually wants to commit to being about multiple protagonists, unlike before where they were only there for a special occasion. Compare the 5-year span of 2010 to 2015 to the 5-year span of 2020 to 2025. From 2010 to 2015, we have a game where Kiryu makes a brief appearance, a game where he's a lead, a game where he's a lead but a samurai, and a prequel where he's a lead. From 2020 to 2025, we have the Ichiban game, the sequel to Yagami's game, the Unreal Engine version of Ishin where Kiryu is a lead but is Ryoma, The Man Who Erased His Name where Kiryu is the lead, Infinite Wealth where Kiryu and Ichiban are the leads, and Pirate Yakuza where Majima is the lead. RGG's direction is different now, and I really like how Infinite Wealth actually felt like a sequel. We really haven't had that since like 2006. And like I said before, the Gaiden games were created specifically for focusing on other characters that wouldn't be focused on in the quote-unquote main line. That's why something like Dark Tides can exist when it wouldn't have existed in the past. But now that we're on the same page, I kind of hate it. You won't see me give a super emotional response to Ichiban being turned into pre-order DLC, but I do understand where the frustration is coming from. The treatment of the mainline games has been different since they started using the Dragon engine. These mainline games are higher budget games with the bigger aspirations and dreams. These are the games where you'll get a brand new sparkling bright city with all these new assets everywhere. The spin-offs reuse these maps to save time and money, but the point is that the mainline games are the ones that are really ambitious. They only come out every few years. There was a 4-year gap between Yakuza 6 and 7, and a 4-year gap between 7 and 8. The problem is that Ichiban has been relegated to being in just these mainline games, and that makes it feel like he's less focused on than Kiryu. Ichi gets all these big games with the big plots and the big budgets, but we only see him every 4 years. Meanwhile, Kiryu just got an Unreal Engine 4 game, a game made in 6 months, and he's getting an upcoming remake. This is what I mean when I say Ichi isn't a victim of RGG not caring about him. Ichi is a victim of RGG caring about everyone else. RGG wants there to be a little something for everyone. It can be handled so much better than it is, man. Like, come on. If you look at these recent spin-off games, they aren't random like they were before. You know, it's not zombie and samurai and then samurai. Somehow these Gaiden games always have something to do with the mainline. The Man Who Erased His Name goes into Infinite Wealth, and then Pirate Yakuza follows Infinite Wealth's story, and then Dark Tides is Mine's backstory. Ichi doesn't have to be relegated to just mainline games or games that continue his story. Kiryu wasn't. Kiryu had Kenzan, then Dead Souls, then Ishin, then Zero. Meanwhile, Ichi has 2 games, and in one of those games, Kiryu steals the show. It brings us back to those 5-year spans. There was so much Kiryu, but now there's a little something for everyone, and that means there's a little bit of Ichiban.
Hey guys, it's me from the future. I'm recording this on January 23rd, 2026. I've had the rest of the video recorded since like November, I just never felt like editing it. You can tell I'm different because my voice is slightly more nasally. Anyway, there's been a few interviews and shit ever since I recorded this video, and I just wanted to add this part on to really add on to my frustrations with how shitty RGG is at making video games. Yokoyama said that he writes each of the games like they're the final game, and I guess that makes sense. It explains why each game is like shitty when you put them side by side. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is why they're even doing the things that they're doing. They want to build on the Like a Dragon brand. I told you so. Well, I didn't because this video never came out, but the way they're doing it is just so stupid. I don't understand. You have infinite money looking at you in the face and you're throwing it away. Rather than double down on the characters from their best selling game, they've gone all the way back to double down on characters that have been dead for 17 years. You have characters like Mine, Ryuji, Nishiki. They get killed off and the series moves on without them. Whatever, what's done is done. But going back to these characters years later, just let it go, man. They're dead. They're gone. It's over with. We have to move on. And I just don't understand. Why? Hey guys, I know you really like Ichiban. Here's why we've brought back characters that have been dead for 17 years. It's a huge overcorrection for how they made games in the past, and it's too little too late. Focus on what makes your series strong now instead of what made your series strong in the past. It's the same exact thing that they've been doing with live-action adaptations.
Let's build the Like a Dragon brand in the mainstream through a live-action adaptation.
Let's just do the first game again and again and again and again. Who cares about new characters? Let's just double down on our old popular ones to rebuild the brand. No, dude! What are you doing? How, after 20 years, are you still so fucking bad at making money in video games? No wonder your daddy Sega had to step in and milk your series because you guys are fucking trash at doing it yourselves. I know I said Nishiki when I talked about dead characters that nobody cares about, but Nishiki is a good example. Nishiki had no depth to him. He was just kind of the evil brother character. Yakuza 0 tried to make him a good character, and so did Kiwami 1. They gave him more depth, and they made him more sympathetic, and they gave him a character. But then you look at Richardson and Lau Ka-Lang and Kashiwagi in Yakuza 7 and 8, they're just there. They serve zero purpose. There's no reason for them to be there. But has RGG Studio actually forgotten about Ichiban Kasuga? No. Yeah. Another question is he a priority for RGG? Do they actually care about building on Ichiban? The answer to that is obviously hell no! I wanted to end this on a positive note and be like, hey, they could just make more Ichiban games. The premise is there. You know, back in the day, RGG would have made 10 more Ichiban games. They could just do a game similar scale to Yakuza 2 or Yakuza 6. But I just don't care. The way that they're treating the series is just so stupid. It is insanity. It's the same thing over and over and over, expecting different results. After a certain point, you're just gonna have to start innovating and learning that pivoting back and forth doesn't work. It's a huge leap going from one protagonist to another, and once you have everyone's attention on that new protagonist, you rubber band all the way back to the old one. And with the way they're doing things right now, it's like the side games are going to be about these Kiryu characters and the mainline games are going to be about Ichiban characters. But I don't care. It's going to be shit. Imagine being a new fan. It's just going to be so shitty for you. You're getting people invested into Ichiban, then going into old characters, then going back to Ichiban, then going to old characters. There's also like 3 or 4 or 5 different timelines now, and it's just so confusing. It's not even about having 2 cakes. One cake looks nice, but it's actually filled with diarrhea, and the other cake fell over 2 weeks ago and nobody's noticed it yet. It's just insanity. The series would be better by now if RGG just focused on innovating and learning from their mistakes, but instead of that, they're focused on which actors they think are cute. And right now, they're probably trying to cast another criminal in their next game. Just wait until the inevitable Kiwami 4, Kevin Spacey as Munakata.